All right, welcome to my update. Let me get started. So, in the last 3 months, I've confirmed that learning by explaining, or the Feynman technique, is a very efficient way to learn math and physics. And so now I'm trying to figure out how to scale this core idea of learn by explaining beyond the Feynman mafia. And so some of the things I'm looking at, first one is a synergy with primer schools. They're hosting this thing called the Primer Fellowship, which is $100,000 to build an educational system with them, a novel kind of educational system. And so I'm looking to potentially synergize with them to build some sort of system to learn math using the Feynman technique. But so that's one thing I'm looking at. Another thing I'm actively doing, is adult tutoring for professionals, where essentially if you are trying to learn math and physics from a first principles point of view, but you don't have the time to do it in university, what I'm doing is that I already know the material, I'm already familiar with it, and I'm poking holes in your explanation and your learning, and I'm making that process much faster. And a third thing I've been looking at, but definitely from a more high-level point of view, is this idea of non-grades tutoring, essentially, where you actually teach like they used to back in the day when there weren't any tests. A Twitter thread that went viral about this stuff, and they called it aristocratic tutoring, where basically throughout history, a lot of the geniuses that we think of were actually, in fact, basically one-on-one tutored, not for the purpose of grades, but just tutored by masters. And so from a higher level point of view, I would be somewhat interested to find a situation where I myself could be that kind of tutor that does not care about the grades, but genuinely cares about the information that I'm passing on, and to be working with a student like that. Now, another thing I've been doing is learning basic math, like very, very basic math, like triangles and angles and circles and numbers, but learning it in a way where it's addicting for myself. And I'm sort of exaggerating when I'm saying this, but honestly not entirely. What I want to do is I want to make learning math, I want it to feel like if I'm playing a video game. And I'm saying that in the sense that I want it to be enjoyable, right? Like I don't need to force myself to do it. And that I just do it naturally because I enjoy it, which at the moment is not the case. I've been figuring this out for the last 3 months, how to do this properly, and trying things and trying other things and seeing if something works out. And what I've been currently doing is reading this book called Are A Mathematician, that synergizes very well. It's a book that demands a tremendous amount of attention, in the sense that it's not preparing you for a test. It's real curiosity. It demands a lot of time and attention, but it's very, very rewarding, I've found. And I've been doing that, and it's been pretty enjoyable. And just more generally, I received some advice from Lawrence Gunnarsson that I find super, super valuable. And the full thread that he gave me is very long, and so for that reason, I'll link it in the description of this video. But it was some very, very valuable advice that I've been applying for the last 3 months. So that's been that. That's been what learning math is like. Now, another thing with math that I've been doing is considering the process of making math videos. And so I've been working with Aleph Zero. Well, first of all, to help with his video making, where essentially I'll challenge his script, and we'll do an iterative process, kind of like the Feynman technique, until the script gets better and better. But more generally, I've been sort of interested in making some math explainer videos myself. I'm currently making a video on group theory and its relation to symmetry. I'm nearly done the script, and so I've been iterating on that. And then once I'm done the script, I get the storyboard done, going to iterate on the storyboard, and at that point, animate the video and publish it. So yeah, another thing that I did is that I hosted a learning retreat in Muskoka with some friends, and I had an amazing time sharing ideas, and that it was really fantastic. And I definitely want to host more retreats like it in the future. But something that I would change is that, and this is quite funny, but we actually had so much fun socializing that we didn't spend as much time on learning as I would have wished. And so a solution to this that was recommended to me by a friend of mine is that, and I think this is actually quite brilliant, and is to enforce a 4-hour period of time where there's no socializing allowed each day, maybe like in the morning or the afternoon. And so in any future retreat that I host, that would be one of the rules. But otherwise, it was really, really fun, and everything went to plan, and I'm really glad that I did that. And our final thing is that I recorded a podcast with Brennan. Brennan and I stayed at a co-living house about a year ago. And that podcast goes way deeper into my thoughts on education and what I'm planning. And so if you want to hear more about what I'm thinking and what I'm up to, then definitely go take a look at that, and I'll link it in the description. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, this is my update.